This is it. This is the whole podcast. We're just doing ASMR with testing. This is the whole podcast. Ladies and gents, welcome back to Articulate with Kevin Diep today. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing good, man.
Pretty good. We just
After
after about an hour of setting up the lighting.
yeah, actually, it wasn't like an hour.
Do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. What made you get into this?
What? Well, I guess why I became, that cinematographer was because in high school I kind of like did photography for a bit.
Okay. Just taking pictures around
Yeah,
school.
I mean,
Did
it
you do
wasn't-
it for the school at all, or just
No,
on
I
your
just
own?
took it for myself.
Okay.
My friend had this T6. It's a
Okay.
Canon camera. It's a T6. I was just like, and he had this like expensive lens. It's like $800.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let me get that. Like, let me shoot it. I
Yeah,
just take pictures, and it was like the
Beautiful.
worst. It
I
was,
was
I was the worst.
Oh, you were.
Oh, I was just bad with it.
I was gonna say. I was
just
like,
like-
it's an expensive
Yeah,
lens. It should make a lot of stuff look good.
Image turned out beautiful.
Right.
Just
The-
direction. I'm like, lighting was on my back. It was just like,
Yeah.
what are you doing, bro? So yeah, that's where I started. Like a little bit of photography in high school, and I kind of like, I like the idea of like, you get one moment to capture this thing, and then how you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
And then the idea of film and then cinematography was also captivating because you get these minutes or
Yeah.
hours, and you're just like, oh, how can you portray the story that you want in this certain amount of
and
time?
the feeling, the emotion.
Yeah,
of it,
exactly.
and how to like capture that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that helps? I mean, so why do you enjoy consuming that? You know what I mean? Like, do you think things that emit certain emotions while you're watching them or looking at pictures that like helps process those own feelings within yourself?
Ooh.
Because you obviously love like storytelling, right?
Yeah, dude, I love storytelling.
So I mean, for example, so we should talk about. We just came back from the Gambino concert,
Yeah,
Childish
yeah.
Gambino concert,
Oh,
and
yeah.
dude, like that whole thing just changed my perspective on life a little bit.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, what am I doing? Like,
I was like-
am I doing enough? You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
same, dude. I was just like, wow, he's just doing everything.
he's doing everything, and he's
And-
amazing at it, right?
And then he's like also not giving a fuck. Like while he's dancing, he's like,
Oh yeah,
and he's telling
Having so
everybody
much
too.
fun.
He's telling everyone like, this might be your first concert. Stop worrying about what everyone's thinking. I'm just like, damn, that's a vibe.
yeah. I've heard so many people talking about it, saying they had either no expectations or high expectations going into it,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all met. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it was so emotionally packed with
Yeah.
all different, and he did a bunch of new stuff, old stuff, like he did. Anyways, we're not here to talk about
Yeah.
the Gambino concert solely, but I know he's one of your influences as well as mine, and like talking about how he, especially in Atlanta, amidst anxiety or
Yeah.
amidst a deep depression, especially when Earn in the beginning seasons is pretty broke,
Yeah.
and like how I think consuming stuff like that does help me. I don't know. It's like relating to the story a little bit and helping you see how they figure it out and how they process it,
Yeah.
and kind of getting some catharsis through that, because a story generally provides an arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see that arc in an episode, or if you can figure out for yourself the arc and say, I guess pictures are a little harder because it's a certain story that it's telling in a different way, in a static way. But yeah, if it goes through an arc and kind of gives you that range of emotions while you're watching it, you can kind of feel the uptick, say in Atlanta, in anxiety, and feel that with them, and then get the catharsis of how they figure it out, towards the end of or how they release that, if they ever do. Sometimes they don't in the episodes of Atlanta. Yeah. So I was just, that's what you're trying to do with your art. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to like, if I can evoke any type of feeling through my art, and people are willing to watch it, or actually take time to kind of dive into this piece and figure out like what was I trying to say with this story, or what was I trying to say with this picture or anything. I think that's enough for me, just doing this art form and everything.
Yeah.
I think art's a great way of just understanding people. You kind of when you look at a painting, like I recently went to the museum And there's some paintings from Van Gogh,
Oh, dude.
and if you actually take the time to just look at why he put this on a canvas, and you're just like, you can kind of feel what he was feeling, and like at that
Yeah.
time, what was, what did you want to show at that time?
Right.
I don't know if this was Van Gogh, but this is a different piece that I seen, and it was a picture of this guy, a portrait of this guy, and then his face was just like big as fuck. It was just like it kind of looked like a puffer fish, right?
Right.
And it makes me wonder, did this guy actually look like this, or was the artist trying to make this guy look ugly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
might have had some type of feeling towards this person.
Sure. Sure.
And you never know, and you just kind of, I just like you just want to understand this person, right?
Wouldn't that suck if you commission a guy to like make a piece of art, portrait of you, and he makes you look bad?
I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen those, but there's some like in like Miami, they just draw you ugly as fuck.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Make you look-
caricatures.
Yeah.
It's funny what you're saying about Van Gogh. Though I just was talking to somebody, and they were like, when you learn about Van Gogh in art in like sixth grade or whatever, in art class in sixth grade, you're like, oh, it's a guy without a ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
it's a bowl of fruit. Like, what do we?
Yeah.
But I don't know, especially as I've gotten older. But like you said, also just seeing it in person at the museum and like looking at the layers and the texture
Yeah.
and like everything that he was putting into it and all the time that he put into it. It's like, wow. I mean, he was really
Yeah.
trying to express something with
Yeah.
this, and trying to emit some sort of feeling
Yeah.
with it.
Painters in general, I just think they're pretty underrated for what they do, because it takes a little bit more time to try to understand a painting than it is for film.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a-
film has that kind of set
Right.
narrative.
Yeah,
although
because you can
there's
talk.
some weird
You can't
ones.
talk with a painting unless
Yeah.
you write it, which is it really that cool painting?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
knowing like being a photographer, I knew like, oh, this is gonna be something I like to do on my free time, and then eventually it was like, oh, I can only express so much with photography,
hmm
so that's why I kind of became a DP.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I did want to bring up was how because yesterday we were talking about passion and how
Yeah.
a lot of people that I don't know, not a lot of people, but there are some people that don't seem passionate about what they're doing, whether it's, regardless of art or whatever it is. And so when did you get that first taste? Was it during that, when you were shooting pictures with that camera and you're like, oh, I could get good at this? Or,
Well, I felt like I was always a passionate person. When I was younger, I gamed a lot,
Yeah.
and when you have a brother that's always whipping your ass in a game,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
get really passionate and you want to beat them.
Sure,
So
sure.
I guess that was like the very beginning
What's
of
the
like,
difference between competitive and passion?
I think good question. I feel like I'm both, so I can't really find the differences,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, yeah.
for me. It's just like
There is a line.
I think
but
it just having both just kind of feels like the same to me. I don't know.
Well, I
Like,
think that's why being competitive is definitely an advantage. Like, I'm
yeah,
not a competitive person, but I would consider myself a passionate person when it comes
yeah,
to things that I'm interested in, for sure.
yeah.
But I don't get motivated. I think maybe competitiveness is when you're motivated by an opponent or something.
Yeah, I think being competitive,
It's an
you only
external
it's like
motivation.
your only drive is to beat this person or be better than this person.
Yeah.
You can be passionate and like have someone be better than you and not care.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
might get
yeah.
more inspired because someone's better than you, and you're like, oh wow, this
Yeah.
is great. Like,
Like I said with
yeah,
Gambino, it did kind of beat me down. I was like, damn, dude, what am I doing? But
yeah,
it
yeah,
also was like, dude, I need to get on my shit, like,
yeah.
and really start
Yeah.
to work, just because of the emotions that I felt last night were so intense that it's like, man, I love that feeling and I want to share that with people,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great performer.
So you started feeling competitive when you were a kid, but when did it really start to become clear that this was the path that you were gonna take?
For film,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think
Well, and creative stuff. Not everybody does
yeah,
creative
I guess
stuff in general,
yeah, I guess when I actually realized there was a passion, it was when I started painting, because I
Uh,
used to paint on clothing, like jeans, like some denim jackets, like,
mhm.
and then that kind of I was just like, oh, this is like I'm not competing with anyone, but I feel so like emotionally involved in this thing, and I want to be
Yeah.
better and keep going at this. So yeah, I think painting was like when I started, like painting on clothes. And how I got into painting clothes was because when I was younger, I used to model.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to model when I was like 16. Like,
Shit, man. For what?
it was agency, but I did like runway
Okay.
modeling, and then
So you already at the begin. How did you get into that? That's what was there like? Were your parents trying to like get you into
nah,
streaming and
nah, dude.
modeling?
Actually,
And
they were the whole opposite. They just didn't want me to do any of that. They're just
really?
like art.
Yeah. What do
Uh,
they do? Are they more business oriented people?
no, they're nail techs, so
No tech.
nail technicians.
What does
So
that
they
mean?
just do nails.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Both of them?
yeah, so
Oh.
they do art.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, it was just like the idea of like, well, why would you want to make that your profession? I'm just like, wait, you guys do art for your profession,
Yeah.
but they do make money, so it's just like,
Right. That's kind of part
But I
of it.
guess the idea of like, oh, being a painter doesn't make you money. I used to paint and then I used to sew, and it's like, sewing might not make you money.
Hmm.
So they were kind of, and modeling too, because modeling is not a long term job.
Yeah, because you get old.
Yeah, you get old, unless you do make it. If you do make it,
Then you can start fitting.
yeah, but it's so
different
hard
things,
to
right?
make it. It's
Sure.
so hard to make it as a model. So
Why modeling? You were like, damn, I'm hot, bro. Like,
no, it wasn't that. It was
you
either
like you look good in the mirror, like I should be a model. And you're like,
yeah,
hey,
nah. 16, you got all the anxiety.
yeah,
Just like
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you're
At 16, I
nervous.
wouldn't have wanted to do that.
Did nah. What happened was there was this other Southeast Asian kid that I seen at this other school, and that's when I realized I was like, oh, like people that look like me, they actually are in art and
Mm.
they're doing it, like
Mm.
because at that time I didn't see
Was he doing some?
he was
art?
modeling.
Oh, he was modeling as
He
well.
was modeling,
Oh,
so he
okay.
made me realize that oh, I can get into art and do it. Like
Yeah,
no one's holding me back besides myself.
sure.
I thought before, because I guess a little bit before that, it's just like the only Asian person you've seen was like Jackie Chan, or just East Asians, right? So I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess I can't really do art, so I didn't realize like what my path was gonna be at all. I was
Hmm.
just like, I'm just living.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I seen that model, I was just like, oh, art is a thing. Like I can do it. It
Yeah.
opened something in me, and that's when I became passionate to do just art because I was just like, whoa, this kid is doing it, and
Wow, just seeing one other
just
kid doing it.
seeing one kid that looked like me
Yeah.
open like just me coming down to this road right now.
Wow.
Without him, I don't think I would have done this.
Dude, and that's why it's so important that like a lot of these I mean, obviously diversity in film and media
Yeah,
should always be included, but
yeah.
I think especially now with the rise of who's the guy in Beef? What's his name?
Steven Yeun.
Steven Yen, but and then Everything Everywhere All at Once, and there's Crazy Rich Asians, and it's like all the it's not only getting exposed to the culture, but also affecting other people like you to just
Yeah,
be open to
exactly.
the idea of like
Yeah, because I don't
yeah.
think I would have been. When you're a kid, you're like, yeah, I want to be an actor.
Hmm.
Because you see the action moving, you're like, yeah, I could be that.
But there's no Asians
But yeah,
in
but
Marvel.
no, I mean, when you're younger, yeah, you're just like, I just want to be that. But yeah, after when you get older, then you're like, oh, I can't be that because they don't look like me.
Right, right. I mean, I don't know. This wasn't the conversation about include. We should always include people, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the thing that just stood out to me is you just seeing one person who wasn't even. He probably doesn't even model anymore. You know
He
what I mean?
does. He does.
Oh, he does.
I don't really keep up too much with him, but
Okay.
I know him.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he still does model.
I
But just
agree.
just seeing that person, that's like it opened like a path.
A
and
path for
it's
you.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard this quote the other day. I think it was from Carl Jung, and it was like, "If you can see the path forward, then you're on somebody else's path." And I like that because for me, I have no idea what my path looks like at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, same with you is like I'm trying so many different medias that I'm just trying to figure out which ones stick and like using a little bit
Mhm.
from each thing that I learn into the next one. Yeah, that's what I mean. But I don't know how sewing factors into your filmmaking career now, but
Well, yeah, honestly, I don't know. Maybe it does, and I just don't know
yeah, yeah,
subconsciously. But I guess with sewing is just like a little details, right?
yeah, little detail.
Same
That's
thing with
true.
painting. It's all about the little details.
Yeah, so you're a perfect. Like we literally did work on this lighting for an hour, so
Yeah.
it better look amazing. Just by
I
the way.
hope so. I mean, I can't tell with that little screen, but yeah. I hope
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So you modeled and then took some photographs.
Modeled, painted, sewed.
In high school, did you
That
pass
was
high
all high school. Yeah.
Okay.
I did pass high school.
Okay, it seems like you had a lot going on.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's all balancing too.
Um,
Because I graduated with a 3.9.
Oh shit.
So.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
never went to college.
Oh, okay. That's what the
Yeah.
next thing I was gonna ask is
Yeah.
so you didn't go to school for any of this stuff?
Nah. I mean, my dad wanted me to go to college for. just to go to college.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah, for
I was
college
just like
reasons.
just college. I was just
Because
like,
he's a dad.
yeah. I was just like, I guess I'd try directing.
Oh
And
really?
then I went for a week, and I was like, nah, this is not it. And then I was thinking ahead. I was like, if I drop out now, I don't have to pay those dues, and I don't have
Yeah.
to pay that 20,000 for that semester,
For
something like,
just the one semester,
or
yeah, it's
something like
nuts.
that. I was just like, I'm not gonna pay that because I was already taking acting classes at that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I took acting classes at the end of my high school year.
Nice. Okay, so that's when you started acting. Is that Playhouse West? Is where you started? Okay, that's where kind of the mutual connection between us a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But we weren't even in the same
No, no,
place
no,
at the same
no.
time.
Yeah, yeah. How long ago did you start?
Started at
Oh, yeah. I
three
mean, that
years
must have
ago.
been years, 3 years. Oh,
Started three
because you're
years ago.
21.
Ended off 2 years ago. Or yeah, I guess it's about to be 2 years already.
That's nuts. Do you feel like you took that time for a reason, and you feel like that's kind of helped you move forward in this creative career that you're doing?
Yeah, dude. I think
So drop out of college, kids. That's what the lesson is.
nah, college is not for everybody.
It's
Bro.
not for everybody.
If you
Yeah.
you know you're doing if you're trying to be a doctor or something, definitely invest in that time. But dropping out for that 3 years, I think it benefited me because one, I was able to just kind of focus on acting,
Mm-hmm.
right, and that allowed me to see where I was with that, and then also it allowed me to nurture a lot of the relationships that I have now,
Mm-hmm.
and which is why I'm able to kind of start this film,
Right.
right, and meet these people and understand like, oh, we're a lot closer to Hollywood than we think.
What do you mean?
Like, it's all about knowing the people,
Mm.
and if and I'm like, oh, I know this person that knows that person,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I'm just so close. Like,
Yeah.
if you just
I can
recognize
taste
me,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you like, if you just recognize me, we can be like in Hollywood together, bro.
Yeah, just
like,
just look at my face.
yeah, just look at me, dude, and you recognize that film or something, and you
Yeah.
recognize my name. That's all I need you to do. Man.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
and
just
then you're
like
there.
yeah, it definitely dropping out and having those 4 years definitely benefited me.
Mm.
It just shows that like, college is not for everybody because you still got to figure yourself. Honestly, I think 18, just making that decision at 18 is kind of crazy.
Well, one thing I wanted to drop out my first year, and my dad was like, "All right, you're allowed to do that, but if you're going to drop out, you have to give me a plan." So I think that's kind of a good baseline. Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah, having
like
a
mental.
plan.
Yeah, have a plan if you're gonna make it. It's a big decision to not go
Yeah,
to college.
exactly.
So think it through. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do pros and cons or whatever you got to do.
Dude, that's funny because that's the same thing like my dad did. Like he made me like, all right, you're dropping out, right? Like I really tried to make you go to college, but you're dropping out.
Right.
Give me your plan.
Yeah.
And I gave him my plan, and he's still supporting me.
So what's the plan?
It was just let me continue acting, and I
Figure
got
it
it.
out
I
from
got
there.
it.
It's not a very thorough plan.
But
I must
honestly,
say.
it was just like, let me finish this program.
Okay.
And that's like 2 years.
It is a 2-year program,
so
which kind of
that was like
technically
enough
counts.
time to get me situated. I was like, just let me figure this out. Like, let me finish this program, and I'll try to get myself a foot in the door and see where I go with that. Right?
Yeah.
And he trusted me with 2 years, and then now he's seeing like, oh, I met these great people that can do great work. I see their work. Okay, I trust you. Like,
Sure.
you're not.
Well,
you're
and
not
you've
just
built up your own portfolio too. That he's
Yeah.
probably been able to be like, all right, look, he's doing something.
Yeah, and he's also seeing me leave the house too, because
Yeah, you're not just sitting home.
Yeah, one thing he doesn't want me to just be sitting at home just watching TV and just like, this
Getting
is my house.
mad at your brother playing video games.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely not like, some deadbeat guy that's just living in his parents' house.
No. I mean, for sure. That's why I wanted to have you on, and I know that. I mean, I do always try to get something specific, a specific topic. But whenever we have conversations, it's always, especially because you're doing your own film right now, and I'm just wrapping up my process with everything. So it's interesting to kind of meet on that plane where you're coming at it from the front and I'm walking off of the back, and to me it's also that you're so young and you're doing all these things and like all this technical stuff, bro. I don't have any foundation for it. Like I wish I would have taken some time to learn DPing and cameras and how they work, and just all the camera names, bro. Like, I don't even know the names of the camera,
Dude, I always found it like really beneficial to know cameras, especially when you're talking to a DP, because when you can name a camera, they just give you so much more respect.
Yeah.
My last this last film I was on,
Yeah.
Ali just named his camera. He was like, "Oh, you know this?"
Yeah, really?
It's like, nice.
Yeah.
And then like we got close. I was just like, dude, that's all I had to
I
say.
could tell you, and like when I ask a question about the like the ISO or something,
Yeah.
when I first asked you, you got so sad, bro. You're like,
Yeah.
you don't know what ISO is, bro. It was like the camera. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I know it's my camera, but
Yeah.
I've never been behind the thing. I don't know how to play with it at all. Well, this is another thing we were talking about. Is so there's a lot of technical aspects within film that I am. I finally did on the last set. I got kind of a mentor, and he was able to teach me like a lot of I AD'd the project, which is a huge task. Like I didn't know what I was getting into at the beginning of
Was
it.
that the one in the convenience store?
Yes,
Same
yeah,
thing?
that one. So I was ADing that, and I learned a lot of technical stuff. Just in they have this thing called the production Bible, where they put in the elements for each scene, like what they're gonna need day of, the scene breakdown, what order they're gonna shoot. All the scenes in that day, that sort of thing, lighting diagrams, stuff like that, and something we were talking about is that technical aspect. It's so important, like it's really important, but it's also demotivating, right? You have this
Yeah.
passion to create the story, and that's like at the core. It's like, oh, dude, I can write, and I want to
Yeah.
see these actors play this out. But it's like to capture that, you have to do all this other stuff that.
Yeah, just for that sliver of like, yeah, you're putting like hours and hours to get this sliver of, the
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
Just even one shot could take like 7 hours of preparation or
Well,
even
especially
more.
with you as a perfectionist, moving all the
Yeah,
lights.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, it can get hard.
Yeah, yeah. So do you feel your new thing, like the film, what's that one called?
Stand up.
Stand Up, right. And so are you taking on this as because this is your first short film, right? And this is the first one you're
First directorial debut.
directorial
Yeah.
debut, right? So do you feel that you've reached a place in your, career or whatever that whatever, yeah, yeah.
It was just starting.
Yeah, well, that's what you feel like you've kind of got a lot of the elements, and you finally know enough people that you're ready to kind of take on a bigger short film project that's your own and something that you could slap your name on and be proud of, right?
Yeah, I would say the fact that I was able to gain all that experience in the past and learn all this technical stuff that I know now,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to just kind of transfer that as a director
Mm-hmm.
and understand like, okay, my crew members that they're talking to me, I understand the terms they're using. Like that's like the best thing. Like there's no language barrier. I don't have to they don't have to break it down to
Mm-hmm.
me for like 30 minutes and like I have to understand them and like what are you saying? What is that? What is a what?
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't have to do that. Like I understand from the get go and
Cool.
this.
Yeah, so what inspired you to write this one specifically? So this one is about a guy that has like a run in a convenience store that's a little sketchy or something, right?
Yeah, sketchy convenience store run and he's finding himself wanting to stand up for himself.
Yeah. So that's you.
That's
What
the
you're
story.
what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you can't drop out of college. You can't be an actor. You can't be
Yeah.
a model. Here,
Yeah.
stand up. For
Yeah. Why I wrote this? So actually, this story is kind of based on something that happened to me. This is like, yeah, I had like a run in at a gas station. My dad was filling his gas tank, and this guy approached us, and he was just kind of like, I don't know, he was just pretty ignorant, and then. My dad was just giving him some money and to kind of get him in the way, like just kind of leave us alone. Like I don't, because I think he wanted to fill up our gas, and we were just like, no, we got it.
Yeah.
But he was like pressing us to fill it,
right.
and then my dad was just like, here's some money, and then the money dropped, and
tense moment.
yeah, he got upset, and then I step out, and then I think that just obviously made the tension a lot worse, right? So. I guess he felt threatened that I stepped out, and I'm like a pretty big dude, so
I'm not pretty big dude.
Yeah, the fact that like I was towering over this guy, he felt like he was like, oh, okay, I'm about to assert my dominance and assert like, oh, you're not gonna punk me, even though I didn't say anything. I just like
you just walked out like what's going on?
Yeah, I was just like, what's going on? Like this is my dad. Like, oh, we don't want you to pump our gas.
Yeah,
but he felt like, oh, my ego is being tested. I'm gonna show you I'm a bigger man than you. So he pulls out his gun and he's like brandishing it. And then And we're just like, what the fuck? And then we got in the car. You know,
So
having
he
that
won the
experience.
dominance
Yeah, he
in
did.
that moment.
Yeah, I guess he was the bigger guy.
He was
You
the
know,
bigger man there. Dude.
he might have been like 5'7", but in reality he was 7 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what the gun's for. It adds
yeah.
an extra.
That adds like the inches.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah.
Same with
Yeah.
big trucks too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
That's why it's a combo. It's like you got to have the gun in the glove box in
Yeah.
your truck.
For me, it's like how cool your shirt is. That makes you bigger than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like you got a cool shirt. I like. You got a decent shirt, bro. It makes you. That's why I dress up for this, bro. What do you think?
You gotta have the best shirt.
You gotta have the best shirt, the best dressed person. Yeah. No, that's intense though. I mean, I could see that. Obviously, any situation with a gun, pretty
Yeah.
intense.
Didn't hit me until like a little bit later. Then I was just like, whoa, that happened.
Yeah, one
was-
time something. I mean, it wasn't nearly as like intense as that, but because it was weird. I was in a suburb in Ohio, and we were just sitting out on an electrical box, hanging out. You know, it was like 10 p.m. or something. There's a big blues festival going on downtown that I don't know hasn't let out yet, but this guy like comes up to us. He was wearing a mask, but I don't know why. I didn't really think it was that weird. So I just like watched this guy walk up and nobody else. He's like, "Yo, guys, give me all you got." And he pulls up his shirt and he's got like the handle of a gun right there. And that was the first time I'd ever been confronted with anything like that.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, like, dude, I'm shocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was with some douchebags. So, you know, like 8th grade douchebags. That are,
Yeah.
I think I was in 8th grade. And they're just like, "What is that, bro? Like a fake gun?" Like, they're all
Oh,
cocky
dude,
about it, dude.
That
Yeah.
sounds like some like movie scene.
Yeah, they're all cocky about
That's
it.
not real, dude.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a Nerf
not-
gun. I seen that.
Yeah. He's like, "Come on." Come on. Like, I'm not messing around. And then a car just pulls up and the guy runs away. So,
They always run away.
yeah, they always run away. So, on one hand, it was kind of nice to have those douchey guys around me to, like, you know, assert the
Yeah.
dominance back or whatever. But on the other hand, y'all could have got a shot, bro. Like, you should have. What if it was a real gun? You're going to test this guy on it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
That's
about
kinda,
that.
dude. I mean, hey man, bought you guys some time for the car.
For the
drive
car to
by?
come through?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty intense. But so yeah, what was the like kind of the takeaway for you then, and what are you trying to put that arc or that story that we were talking about within this film?
For some reason, I had this like nagging feeling. Like, even though he did that to me, I was just like, why? What was he feeling? You know?
Oh, you were more trying
I was
to
more.
feel
I was just like more curious about
empathetic,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, he must have been having like
a real bad day.
not even a real bad day, a real bad past. Like,
Yeah,
damn, like he
true,
must
true.
have had like for you to even like, damn, like pump some gas. Like it was that deep for you to want to pump my gas that badly. And then yeah, it just made me think about this.
What is this, Jersey? No.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, dude, I was like, huh, and it made me think like, oh, I could just write a story about this. And then I did, and then, I mean, and it also just kind of ties with like all the stuff that I experienced in the past with like just being bullied and being discriminated. I thought like,
Bro, you were a model. You got bullied?
yeah, well, this is before modeling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
alright.
they were like, oh, you're not cool yet. Yeah.
They said that to you? Somebody said that to you?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
it.
So this is yeah, it just kind of ties with like all the stuff that like I experienced in Philly, and I just thought like, you know, this would be a great story to tell, especially with someone that looks like me, like a Southeast Asian character. I don't think you get to see that often on film, so I just like it would be pretty dope to write that as a character and see how that goes. And I also wrote it because I was just having like terrible luck with castings because
Yeah.
they don't cast me at all.
Well, that's what I mean. I've been talking about to a few people about this, but how really like the paths that you take in filmmaking, it's like, okay, I mean, most people want to be an actor, writer, director. I would say those are kind of like the big three, right? Obviously, you know, there's DPing is pretty popular and stuff. Like it's all popular, right? But I think those are when you first kind of know that you want to get into movies. You're like, okay, I want to do the story stuff. But then once you get into it and you want to build a professional background, it's like, what am I going to be a PA forever and like work my way up from there? Am I going to start with, you know, lighting? I'm not a DP yet. So am I going to be a grip? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, what are the actual courses that you can actually take? And at the end of the day, dude, I mean, obviously it's hard. You got to get your own funding and stuff like that. But that's what was great about taking the acting class was one of the biggest things that you can do, you know, in a situation where you have a story you want to create is just having the people and like having the means to do it, you know? So once you have that, then you don't have to go through those hoops of being a PA or like gripping on a set where you know nobody, something that you just
Yeah,
got
yeah.
hired on or whatever. It's like, okay, first of all, I know these people that can do these things that,
Yeah, yeah.
like, I've seen them do things, right?
Exactly.
And so this is what I was kind of telling you yesterday is like, I took the acting class for only 8 months. I didn't do the full program, but I saw people that were already so much better than me. I was like, oh, well, these people could just do, like,
Yeah, yeah.
instead of me doing it, it's like I could just have them do the thing the way that I see it, and I don't have to take that path. It's the way it's going to get done. It's
Yeah.
guaranteed it'll get done that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I appreciate, other people putting their stuff together and taking the lead, because that's the other thing, even within this realm, right? Within some of, I don't know, the people we've met through Playhouse or whatever, or on other sets, is like they kind of just show up and like, yeah, I'm not getting that much work, and it's like, well, how hard are you trying?
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yeah. I think I mean, just not getting the stuff I wanted, like starting out acting, like I guess after all the time I spent at Playhouse West,
hmm
and then not being able to get acting gigs or just being in people's like short films,
hmm
I realized like, okay, this is not the path I have to take. Like I
Yeah.
can't do what people are, because I would just see people like get roles and roles, like, oh, I like you, I'm gonna take you from there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, like I'm not getting that.
No.
I think partially it could be because I'm also like a younger person too, and it's like I'm
Mm.
not comfortable having me on set too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that being.
Yeah, so I took a different path. I did the PA stuff, and I did went up. I went up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so what you were saying is kind of funny. I went PA, and I was like, I just showed up. Like
hmm
showed up. Being there is enough.
Yeah,
People remember you. PA.
for sure.
Went DP, and then stayed DP for a bit,
Oh, wow.
and then I was just like, okay, I got.
So when you were on as a PA, did you learn a lot about DPing? Were you like the PA that was tied to helping the
So
DP?
PA, I mean, most PAs at those like low budgets, you just everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah. All over the place.
yeah, I was just
Because again, even from PA to DP is a big jump, right?
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Well, yeah, I think how I was just kind of able to jump from DP is when take that photography skill that I had from high
true,
school.
true, true, true. Okay.
No, yeah, when I was a PA, I literally would just float around the DP because I was just more interested in that
Yeah.
stuff anyways.
Right,
So I was
right.
just like,
I think that is the benefit
yeah,
of being kind of on those lower level
yeah,
positions,
yeah. You get to
is that
just
you have a
yeah,
little bit more freedom to
yeah,
kind of bowl around and see
yeah,
what's going on.
exactly. Like I already knew the acting stuff, so I go to Playhouse, so I literally had the training.
hmm
But why not just learn about something else that I don't know?
Yeah.
At that time, I was just like, oh, I could learn more about camera work, and
Mm.
I got that skill. And also, there would be times where we did have gaffers, and
Mm.
I'm just like, oh, what is this? How do you do this? Ask questions.
Yeah.
Learn about like these setups and figure out what makes the best setup for this stuff.
Dude, literally just today and yesterday hanging around you, was like, man, I really need to get some more
Yeah,
technical
yeah, dude.
technical education to.
People hate on being a PA, but I think like best position to have when you're starting. You
Really.
get to learn so much.
Yeah.
If you really are trying to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this guy, what's his name, John Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Playhouse West student as well,
Mm.
but he has a show himself now.
Mm-hmm.
It's on AMC, I think. But anyways, he started as a PA on the Hollywood sets, and that's how he met people.
Okay.
And he started meeting people and like, showing up, being on time,
Yeah.
and eventually he got the connections, and eventually he wrote his own show and he got it
Yeah.
produced and everything.
Right.
But that's being a PA, you get to meet so many people. You
Mm-hmm.
get to be everywhere.
Yeah. True.
You don't have to be at the set again. They might drop you,
Yeah. True.
and then you go to a different set though, because someone's
So
always
would you
needing
be a
a
PA again?
Well, funny thing, I went DP, stopped DPing. I went to be a PA for what's that set? Alyssa's
Okay.
set.
Yeah. Yeah. Grandeur Delusions.
Yeah, Grandeur Delusions, and that's when I met Jonathan. And
Okay.
then look at that, like
Yeah, and that's the
Yep.
connection that
Yeah,
kind of helps.
exactly.
So you were
Just being a
on that
PA
set.
is just great. And it was funny because when I was PAing, he was like setting up a shot,
Mhm.
and Michael wasn't there, and he
Yeah.
told me to sit there. He told me like, "Oh, just sit in there, sit in the shot for me.
Yeah.
I need someone to test."
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh, dude, you look good on camera."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, yeah, like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm an actor, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just planted a seed in
I'm
his
an
head.
actor, just
Yeah,
FYI.
yeah. Just like,
We'll
yeah,
plant the seed.
I act too. I go to the same school as these guys. Right? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, dude, we should do
We
something
should
in the
collab.
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally did that, and
Yeah.
then look at it now. Like,
Yeah,
it's
you
just kind
guys
of
are
crazy.
collab. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
So
So stand up. What's it called?
stand up.
Stand up,
Yeah.
and it's not about comedy.
No,
Okay.
I think people are gonna get confused.
Yeah, a little.
Honestly, I like that it's kind of confusing. So
Oh, you want to throw people? You want to
yeah,
confuse people right at the beginning?
I don't want people to guess the title instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I had the title as "Stand Up for Yourself" in the very beginning.
Okay.
So, but it was just so on the nose.
It's a little on the nose, yeah.
So
Titles for me are so hard. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Like I can do I'll write a whole story. Like the one that we're working on, I didn't come up with the final title until after the whole thing was basically edited, because then I realized what the theme that came out was by the end of it. And it can change too. I think you should be open to change throughout the entire process, because we talked about this as well, where a movie's written 3 times, when it's actually written, when it's performed, and then when it's edited too. So yeah, the title changed a few times through
I think
that.
with title you can kind of be more lenient because it's not like a theme or something. It's not like.
I mean, it's pretty important.
I think it's definitely important, but
Yeah.
titles can always change based on how the story goes.
Oh, true.
Like
Yeah, and it's about, I don't know, like asserting your, or
so the best way I could put it is standing up for yourself leads to death.
it leads to death.
Yeah.
So, because if you would have stood up to that guy with a gun, you would have died.
I guess.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't
guess
know
you
if
have
that's
to-
my favorite, because maybe you should. Wait. So you're saying never stand up for yourself ever?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
Okay.
the idea is sometimes it happens.
Sometimes it happens. I think it's just stand up for yourself until nowhere to
Yeah.
draw the line.
Well, that's the point of this film, right? You're just like, why would you write about that? And
Is
then
it about like kind of hyper masculinity in a sense, or
Yeah, it
does it
is.
have to do with the
There's a little bit in
masculinity?
there. Yeah, there's a little bit of masculinity in there.
Because I think that is a masculine trait to
Yeah,
really
it is.
be like territorial or
Yeah.
whatever that is.
But then there's also like there's a kind of a line of just standing up for yourself, and then is it just an ego test?
or a what?
An ego test. Like, are you guys
Oh,
just like this?
yeah. A dick measuring contest.
Yeah, like pretty much. And the way I wrote it, I didn't have it like that. There's a, when you see it, you'll know like, okay, it's not a dick measuring test.
This one's
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's where the line is, though. Again, and I mean, that is an important part of some cultures is the idea of respect, right? And like, if somebody disrespects you, then you gotta stand on business with that
Yeah.
person or something.
I
You
think
know
that's
what I
like
mean?
an American thing.
You think it's only an American thing?
I think so.
Could be. Because we're all
'Cause-
so entitled.
Yeah, I mean, other countries, it seems like they just respect.
That's not true. Come on.
Maybe in Europe.
In Europe, bro, like in Ireland, dude, people disrespect everybody all the time in the bars. Have you seen Train Spotting?
I mean, look, there's still like a general respect thing that you kind of have,
Yeah.
but I think here definitely it's like a lot more entitled people. Like that's what I see.
It also depends on where you're located, and
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I feel like that's a big generalization to throw out.
could be.
But if you believe it, man, I'm not standing on your
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
I'll let
yeah.
you do you.
Look,
bro.
maybe someone says like, "Oh, that's not true, man."
Yeah, maybe in
look at my
America.
country. It's like this, and maybe you're right. I just don't know. From what I've gathered, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it. That sounds
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah. Just to kind of wrap it up, moving forward, talking about paths and how mine is so ambiguous. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have a certain? I guess you have this short-term goal with the film, but yeah, where do you see yourself going, kind of long-term?
Good question. I haven't being so focused on this short film. I haven't had time to kind of think long term. I would say long term. I guess what would you even consider long term? Like a year?
Well, yeah. I mean, so what's your dream? Like, do you want to be a famous director and like
Oh man,
actor?
I would love to be. I don't even like. It doesn't matter to me if I'm famous or not. Just a
Yeah.
working actor.
Yeah.
Working actor.
So
yeah.
acting, you think, is your main?
I want to be an actor. Yeah,
thing.
I want to be an actor. I only wrote.
You are an actor.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're
Mhm.
right. Exactly. I am an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to be a working
Yeah,
actor.
I want to be a working actor that
Right.
gets paid like what they get paid.
Real money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I only wrote and directed this because I was just tired of waiting, and I thought
Mm.
like, who better to cast me than me. So
Right, and now you're not even gonna be. Not even planning on being the
I'm
main
not
guy.
playing the main guy, but I'm playing a character in there still. So
character.
it's good enough. Like, and the character's pretty. He definitely has a great. He is. I guess his arc is interesting.
An interesting.
Interesting arc. Yeah,
cool.
and so I wrote myself into the film because I couldn't find any luck in casting and stuff.
Okay, so I think you're kind of adding to these two. To me, it sounds like I'm getting two lessons from you, right? One is that if you can't find something, do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
But the other one is also to do the PA path, like the technical path that we're talking about, because those two things can intersect, so that when you decide to do your own thing, then you have that knowledge and those skills.
Yeah.
Or when you're not in the position, right? Like if you don't have the budget or you don't have the resources to do your own thing, then enjoy learning what you can from the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to learn? I mean, you just always expand your mind. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like on set and anything. Just in general, why wouldn't you want to keep learning? It's so fun to learn. Like, I don't know. It opens up your mind a lot more when you're able to just take everything in, even if it's not something you're interested in.
Yeah.
But,
dude, I mean, to me, that's why, I mean, especially with this podcast, having a lot of different topics and stuff, but I think for me, I mean, we don't have to get into it, but like some big part of depression and anxiety is like thinking about the same things day to day and getting either like bored or sad or depressed with those thoughts. So when you're learning, you're consuming new ideas and new things that, even if they're not necessarily positive or engaging or motivating, they're at least different than what's going on in there that's bringing you down, know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to live like a mundane life. It's just kind of...
Yeah. I feel that. Cool. Well, yeah, I like that. The two lessons is the kind of the two parts of the creative path that you're on.
Yeah, and I'm a pretty technical person, so I'm glad I took that path with PA, because I've always like younger. I always loved to be like construction working with my dad, learning. I mean, I think at the time I was just like, but now as I grow up, I'm like, oh, this is such a great thing to know, like learning how to build stuff. And then later on, I kind of learned how to build like tech stuff. Like I built my own PC before too, and just learning technical stuff, just because sometimes you can kind of apply certain things from that. Like with PC, like there's certain like components, and then when someone tells me about like a car component, I'm like, oh wait, I know what that does.
Yeah.
And then, it applies. Like just learning that kind of like, oh, I know something in a car component. Like, like you never know what might apply to something else.
Oh yeah. Well, especially car stuff will definitely apply to you at some point. If you drive a car. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I think that's probably a good spot maybe to wrap it up. But do you want to shout out and do the marketing thing too?
Dude, still pre-production right now, but if you're interested in this film stand-up, you could check out my Instagram.
He's got a cool trailer type thing.
Yeah, it's I has an Indiegogo on my Instagram, Diep Kev, DIEP KEV. Still the fundraising's still going on, so if you want to check it out and support it in any way, I would appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for coming on. Do you want to pop one of these guys off?
Have these?
Yeah, I was trying to use them for a bit, but I don't use them as much as I'd like, so now I'm just going to use them to end the episode. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Nice.